So a small idea of mine for the projects and shows I want to make or series or whatever is that if you have like some people talking in some country, that they shouldn't be talking with accents. They should be talking like in whatever language that they would speak in that country. And during that entire scene, there's no subtitles or captions. I mean, during it you could turn them on, but it's just an option if you want to. Call me casual, but I think it's a good idea because I like my ideas being realistic. So think it like you have two women talking to woman S. And if you're a woman, then you understand what they're saying. But if you're a guy you want to understand what they're saying. So if you're a guy you could either just listen to them talk about the things, or you could turn them on in order to understand it. Another idea of mine. Basically, everyone likes music, everyone likes movies, and then there's the curse of musicals. So Lilo could stub his toe in there, and you just start singing. I stubbed my toe. Oh no! But not musicals, just music and movies in general. There's only music when there's only music on screen. You have a better understanding of the idea. So let's say a character's waiting in the car, okay? He's just sitting here in the car, and there's nothing here but the car noises. So he decides to turn on the radio, and now there's music, but only that much. And then let's say after a little while of waiting, the other guy jumps in the car by accident. And so now they're driving with the music full blast, and then the music takes over everything because from the character's perspective, the music did take over everything, and them driving away with the music playing like that. Another idea for music that you could use would be this. I have a idea of mine where I'm a minor character. Basically, he's walking through the woods and he sees some mushrooms. He eats them because he thinks they're edible mushrooms, but they're not. They're actually highly hallucinogens. What? Talking to yourself is hard. Hi, it's me, the poor bastard has to edit this. I just realized people don't think I'm autistic, so yeah, I'm not autistic. I'm just very, very crappy at talking. Anyway, before the full effects of the mushrooms hit, he's listening to some music, and and finally by the next song, the shrooms take full effect. So now he's having a trip about parades. That's the music that he's listening to. And the idea is that everything going on during the drug trip corresponds to the music. So think marching for drum beats, birds whistling as flutes, and whatever else your imagination could cook up. The one rule being everything has to serve the purpose to the music. Okay, nothing can be out of sync. Nothing cannot just be there just to be there. Even in minor details, it has to correspond to something about the music. So think like a guy who kind of walks funny. Each step he takes representing kind of like a metronome type deal. Not even for the drug trip itself. This could apply to any scene where someone's walking down a city street and listen to the music. And what you could do is, if anyone pays attention to everything going around, they can notice that everything that's going wrong, the guy is there, correspond to singing the music. Getting back on track, when again there's no track to this video, it's just me rambling on. A rule I want in my series is that absolutely no music. Okay, if there's no one you could hear music, there's going to be no music. If someone's running, there's going to be no music besides leaves crunching and woodland noises. If he's walking down the street, okay, street noises. He's if he's somewhere like this, then then just imagine the noises that you'd hear while you use this: the car idling, the radio, guys outside talking and you barely hear. And when there is music will be playing in the scene itself, as I've said before. But in most cases, only faintly. So think of like the radio right here. You can only hear the music only faintly. Let's go. So think like the characters saying out a store or something, and there's like a little speaker outside playing take your time, do it right, but only faintly. And you can do whatever you want for this. Maybe the character dances to it for some damn reason. Maybe they sing along to it, or maybe it's just there while they're there. But my idea for it is either it only plays while they're there, or let's say something crazy happens, and then the music, entirely takes up the entire thing. You can't hear what's going on with the characters. I already explained this. All there is just the music going on while the scene plays out. And that's why the scenes are all cut up for this. I have to script them. I have to script them in my head first, then I say them. Basically, in a context where the music would be almost absolute, where you want to be like that, then you just have the character, put on some headphones, and now they're listening to music without any build up. And probably something that would be an absolute nightmare for anyone who works in audio. What the hell's wrong with me? Or maybe not. I could be wrong. Would be using basically they only have like one headphone on or whatever. So you have music on one ear, and you have natural sounds in that scene. But for an idea, like in most shows or movies, when there is music and the character is singing, that usually points for the story to move along. It helps move along the story. But since I'm a guy who's real obsessed with realism or whatever, same as the first idea, basically you only hear singing where someone will realistically be singing. So let's say in the car, but it's gonna be like realistic singing, like singing that me or you would do. No, ali trampo. No, ali gaji. If you want if you want the good singing, then it would be a place where you have professional singers. And I like the way I said that. So even though the man doesn't like the way he's talking, so think like so think a club or something like that, a lounge or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just busy being a nerd. Wow. Till then, God bless. Okay, so I just realized that my I didn't really explain myself at the final part. Basically, what I mean is when there is singing, it's realistic to whoever is singing it, and it doesn't really move on. It doesn't really move on the story. It just happens. I mean, you ever seen like a fancy restaurant, some guy plays a piano, and that suddenly just changed your entire life, or maybe it did. I don't know.